So I think it's a great opportunity for us to start. Well, good evening or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the IPC Emerging Engineer Program. This Emerging Engineer webinar will be presented by Teresa Rowe. She's our Senior Director, Assembly and Standards Technology for IPC. So thank you, Teresa, for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
With us on the call, we will have two panelists who will join in some of the discussion that Teresa will panel. And they are Tayler Swanson, who is an emerging engineer currently and an engineering team member at Digital Instruments. And then Arvind, I don't know necessarily 100% Arvind to pronunciate your last name, Karthikeyan, a PhD student at graduate research assistant at Auburn University. So if the both of you can maybe just say hi, that would be great as well.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us on. Looking forward to talking with everybody.
Thanks, Arvind.
Oh, that was Tayler.
I know it's Tayler.
That's Charlene, though.
That's me.
Yes. Hi, Charlene. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Teresa. Thanks for everybody.
Hi there.
And then on the phone, we also have Aaron Burney. Aaron, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm the Education Program Manager. I would assume that just about everybody on the call knows who I am. Good to hear and see them.
And I'm Charlene, the Senior Director of the IPC Education Foundation, and we are very happy to bring this great informative session to everyone. So thank you for joining. And Teresa, it's all yours.
All right, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us. I hope not to put Arvind and Tayler on the spot at all, but we'll see as we go through this. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Emerging Engineer program, how it got started, why we have it, and then the details around it. So you're going to see a lot of pictures in this presentation. A reason for that is this is a highly interactive program. We're going to start with what is an emerging engineer and what is the program and why is it so important to all of us. It is a great opportunity to get involved in the electronics industry. You can learn from mentors and also impact the industry through standards development activities. One of the things IPC does is develop the standards that you all have an opportunity to see, such as IPC A610. And you can gain knowledge and experience through action, through participation, through networking with colleagues, and getting to know the industry as you're going through your educational activities. We do know that we are facing an aging workforce. As the population ages, the workforce is also aging. And we're losing knowledge and expertise. These are our subject matter experts in the industry. They are the cornerstones of the industry, and they're leaving just about every day. We hear of someone who's retiring or who's considering retirement. As they head off into the sunset, we realize we have to capture what they know. So the call to action is now. We would like to get them engaged as well, to mentor the people that are coming into the industry, to share their knowledge, whatever that knowledge is, whether it be tribal knowledge or knowledge that they've gained over the years through action, and then to pass the torch on to all of you as you enter the workforce as well. So first we need to talk a little bit about how a standard is developed and why this is so important. Each standard takes hundreds of volunteers to bring it to life, and it takes thousands of hours of development time. It is not an impossible metric to think that it takes 40 or 50 hours for one revision cycle for one piece of this. The working draft, considerably more. It takes up to 2 years or more to develop a working draft. The final draft for industry review, although it's just a 30-day period for the industry to see it, it takes hours and hours and hours to develop it. People comment to it. the task groups developing it then need to go through all of the questions and review them and make changes to documents. The same thing is true for the ballot. And then there's a whole period to publish the document as well. So although it can take as little as a year, this is a 3-year revision cycle, and as people leave, we lose their expertise. It's important to fill those gaps. So we launched the Emerging Engineer Program in 2016. We started out very, very small. We don't see Tayler here. Tayler joined us, I believe, the year after. And so we started out with 3 emerging engineers in the first group, 2 finished, 1 moved on to a different career. And in 2019, John Mitchell challenged us to have 30 new emerging engineers in the class that started in 2020. And we made it. We had 2 that dropped out due to other commitments, but we increased by about 400% in 2020. We met in January at Apex. So 2021, we're not dropping that challenge, we're moving on. But in 2021, we would like to include more students and give more students an opportunity to join the program. So who is eligible to participate? And who designs your experience? This is not something that you come to and there's a syllabus and you follow the syllabus and we tell you exactly what you need to know and what you need to do. You get to decide what it is with your mentor. So to be an emerging engineer, you have to have less than 5 years of experience in the industry or be a student. And it is a 3-year commitment, and you will meet with your mentor along the way. And you have to make sure that you do meet with your mentor in order to meet the requirements. Now, meeting is, of course, can be virtual or face-to-face. Mentors are required to have a minimum of 7 years experience in the industry and also experience in the standards development process. They too are required to have a 3-year commitment and to engage with their mentees. And here's where you get to design your experience. You are provided a framework, and the framework is in the form of this passport that you'll see on the left side of the screen. The activities are different for each year of the program. So in year 1, for example, this is a year 1 passport that you're looking at. You had, in 2020, there was a requirement to go to the newcomers welcome and reception, to an annual meeting and luncheon, to an ice cream social. Who doesn't like ice cream at a social, right? To attend committee meetings, also to go to professional development courses, a technical conference, a session with the industry, introducing the electronics industry, and then some optional activities as well. So in addition to that, you have to go to the show floor. There's a challenge. You have to visit booths on the show floor in this gigantic exhibit hall, and also connect with your fellow emerging engineers. There is one written activity. It is a report at the end of the event. I do warn you that there is a requirement also for selfies. And we like that because it gives you an opportunity to engage with others and to walk up and meet others. And people recognize our emerging engineers. And sometimes they will stop the emerging engineers and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you, and do you need a selfie? I'd be happy to take one with you. Years 2 and 3 have more time around their leadership development, their leadership skills development, and they're also asked to take on responsibilities within standards development. We currently have an emerging engineer who just finished the program this year, who is now a vice chair of one of our 610 leaders. She's a 610 vice chair. And we also have a co-chair for J Standard 001, who's also a graduate of the program. And I'd like to ask Tayler to jump in here and talk a little bit about the passport and if he considered it fun or not. We've had this conversation before. Taylor? Taylor is muted. Taylor, you're muted.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Thanks, Teresa. Can you hear me?
Welcome. We can, yes.
Well, not only do I have my IPC passport, but I also have my other passport. So
All right.
I like to carry both with me because both remind me of, some good things. And yeah, the passport is one of the memories I take away from my emerging engineering program. It was an unbelievable experience from coming from an academic side and getting immersed with the community of not only just IPC staff and just everybody who contributes, but also, like Teresa said, that the wealth of knowledge, the tribal knowledge of everybody who's, they're at the end, maybe the end of their career, but they understand that they want to see, emerging engineers and give them some tips and advice. And there's no shortage of that in the community at IPC. And it's one of those things that this passport really, you certainly go to Apex, the big conference, and there's just so much that you could do, and it really helps guide you to be focused and get the most out of it. By no means did you stop after you finish these passports. It just, once you start getting into it, by year 2, you're just like, oh, I don't even need this passport. I know what I want to do, and by the end of it, I'll be able to fill this out no problem. So some of these, when we talk about requirements in the program, it's more of it just happens so fluently because you get so immersed right away, and it's one of the highlights of the program for sure.
Thank you, Taylor. So what are the expectations then? As Taylor mentioned, there are things that you want to do, and your passport is your guide. The expectations are that you engage with the industry and the participants. We have thousands of people at Apex, and to participate. And people will embrace our emerging engineers and take them under their wings and help them show places that they can participate. It's also to volunteer. Raise your hand and sign up. You may not know anything at the time, but I can guarantee you when you're finished with that action item, you'll know something about that process or that product that you were talking about. And to learn everything you can. This is a great experience to absorb everything that the industry has to offer, and then also to network. And it's not just network with people that are in the industry or have been, but also to network with your fellow engineers, emerging engineers. It's really important that you understand or know the people that you're in those groups with, because those will be the people that you go through your career with. I know from my own personal experience, there are people that I met my very first IPC meeting who are now friends. They may have retired. They're my friends. I work with them. Some I can call, and if I have a question, I go, hey, help me. And they'll be more than happy to lend a hand. So this is truly an opportunity. So where is it? I talked a little bit about Apex, when, and how do you apply? I do want to point out on this slide these pretty little pins up on the upper right-hand corner. These are pins. Oh, look, Taylor has his. He's showing his on the screen. These are pins that are given to all of our emerging engineers and mentors. They are not only for you to keep, but they are a way for others to recognize who you are as you navigate through the events. So to attend Apex, students accepted into the program attend at no cost, and that includes airfare and hotel expenses, as well as additional funds that are provided for incidental meals. There are many meals that are included in an all-access pass, as we call it. There are luncheons, there are networking events, but there's also additional funding given to you for any meals that aren't covered. We also provide you with a letter for academic faculty explaining what in the world you're doing for a week in San Diego, California, other than sightseeing. And like I said, Apex 2021 will be held in San Diego. It's currently scheduled for January. That's when it is on the calendar at the present time. All right. Our students are also, or our emerging engineers, excuse me, are also asked to pay forward a little bit. The Education Foundation, of course, has the STEM program activities. And they, I believe, Charlene, they've been held on Thursdays traditionally at Apex. And our emerging engineers support that. They become the mentors for the students that come in from the local high schools. And you'll see here 2 of our emerging engineers from our first year class who were helping the students with the projects that are also shown here. But of course you get to relax and have fun as well. And we do have trivia night. That's quite a competitive event. We invite mentors to attend as well. And anyone else who's attending Apex can join. And it's, I believe we had Geeks Who Drink this year, were the hosts, and they had the questions and whatnot. And staff even got involved in this. We also had the ice cream social, as I said, on the show floor. And then when groups finish their projects, we celebrate. It's very important to celebrate big milestones like finishing a document after 3 years of questions, answers, comments, and all kinds of paperwork. And that was an amazing cake that the task group actually asked for. They specifically ordered a strawberry-filled cake for that event. And we do have recognition available too. And there is Tayler accepting his Emerging Engineer Award. And there he's showing us on video. But we also have a Rising Star Award, and Kate Stees is there with John Mitchell in the picture at the top, accepting her Rising Star Award this year. And this was part of the selfie activity. She jumped up on stage to get her award and took a selfie so that she had documentation of the event and the activity and the accomplishment. Is Arvind with us? Is Arvind on the phone?
Hey, yes, I am.
Hey, Arvind, can you tell everyone about recognition at the luncheon when you were all asked to stand up?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm Arvind. My name and my mentor's name was called during one of the luncheon networking events. It was a proud event because I was sitting with my mentor who was from Honeywell, and I was sitting with the colleagues, and my name was being called out in front of other recognized personalities, renowned personalities in the electronics field, say people who you look up to, who have published a bunch of papers from Lockheed, BAE, Boeing. So it was a really proud event, and I got to network with a lot of people during that event as well. So I would never forget that moment. Thanks for asking.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask both of you on the next slide to tell us a little bit about your mentors, because you have very unique and very different experiences with your mentors. But how do you become a program participant? I'm sure all of those on the call would like to know how to do this. We are accepting applications. They are due by the 20th of November. That is a hard cutoff date. And the reason for that is notifications go out in early December. And it takes us a few weeks to get all of the bits and pieces together, the travel, the hotel arrangements, and let you all know what those are. So the applications are due by the 20th of November. And then the selection process and the pairing comes before the notifications go out. So when the notifications are sent out, we will tell you who your mentor is, and you will get a chance to meet that person by phone or email, however you choose to do it. The application is, URL is there, so you can go to the form and fill it out and get started. So I am going to ask Tayler and Arvind to talk a little bit about their mentors and the notification process. Tayler, do you want to go first? And you're on mute again, Tayler.
Hello. All right. Yes. The mentor program. What a great, unique opportunity to get in touch with somebody who's been through the IPC process and for years in the industry and just understands what a emerging engineer would like to learn and have the conversations with them about the process. And my mentor was Renee. She's Mika. I can only say her last name so well, but I apologize, Renee. She was just an unbelievable woman, and so kind and so thoughtful to keep me in the loop with all of her contacts. You know, Teresa mentioned how there's thousands of people at this IPC Apex, and it's just full of people that are eager to learn and contribute to standards that are going to affect every electronics industry. And it's just such a cool opportunity to learn from somebody who is a mentor, who is, you know, qualified to give you the, you know, I've been through the ringer. We've, you know, somebody who's been through standards meetings and knows the ins and outs and when you might want to participate, and also knows how to get out of you what you want to get out of the program. So I mean by that is, you know, you have those personal conversations, and me and Renee really got to talk about you know, some things that I'm interested in. I was doing a lot of research on microstructures of solders, so she got me in touch with a lot of her colleagues that were doing that, and there happens to be a standards for that. And so I would, next thing I know, I'm in a standards meeting that is really tied with what my work is for school and what I was doing for my thesis. And then, you know, you get to understand from a, you know, larger impact that, you know, these military standards and all these other things that are really a big impact for the industry. And she just was a wonderful person. I can't thank her enough for my time out and during the emerging engineering program.
Thank you, Tayler. And just to add to that, Renee was in a vice president's role at NTS when she was your mentor.
Yeah.
And Arvind's experience is different. Arvind?
Hey, yeah, it is quite different. So my mentor is Milia Kamar. She's working at Honeywell. We don't have a huge age gap, so we had similar, I would say, similar mindsets, and she was really helpful. The first time I met her was during the IPC standards event, and she was cordial enough to come to my table and introduce herself. And I didn't recognize her at first, but we built up a rapport from then. And then she introduced to me a bunch of colleagues from Honeywell, and then other people at the IPC event who she thought that I should talk to in order to network and to gain knowledge and to share my knowledge. And she shared her experience, what she did at, she was also part of IPC Emerging Engineer program, and she graduated very recently. So she shared her insights, what she did at the Emerging Engineer program, how the Emerging Engineer program changed her path of career, and how I might be able to make better use of the engineering program. For example, my major is industrial engineering. But my research work involves a lot of microstructure characterization, alloy development, you know, experiments such as that. So I wanted to pursue material science so that I would land up as a material scientist in industry. So I put forward this query to Milia, and she was honest that I was the chances of me landing a job as a material scientist was not going to be uh, very positive if I have an industrial engineering degree. She suggested that I get a master's degree in material science. So I gave it a thought for 2 days, and then I applied for the program. Now I'm, apart from a PhD, I'm doing my master's in materials engineering as well. So it's been fun. I've already completed 2 courses in summer. So thanks to her for influencing my decision. Yeah, it was totally great to get Amelia as my mentor.
All right, thank you, Arvind. So thank you to both of you. And as a reminder for everyone, applications are due by the 20th of November. There aren't any extensions here because we need to make sure that we make those perfect mentor matches. So speaking of emerging engineers, this was another opportunity we had at 2020. This young lady is Audra Thurston. She is one of our emerging engineers. She'll be in her 2nd year. She's with Calumet. And her mentor is Dr. Banu Sood from NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. And she had an opportunity to be one of our models for the marketing campaign for Apex 2021. So here she is, announcing Apex in San Diego. I'd like to thank you and share with you one final picture here. This is a picture of the class that was in San Diego in January/February of this year. These are the people that came to the show floor. This is what's in the background at the ice cream social. And as one of our emerging engineers wrote in her report, she told us that she thinks that at the end of the day, we will have found ice cream wrappers in the sofa cushions, because the photographer was saying, put the ice cream down, put the ice cream down. And so everyone just kind of stuffed the wrappers wherever they could in the corners of the sofa. So I'd be happy to take any questions if there are from the group. Aaron, Charlene?
Yes, so people feel free to use the chat, and if you raise your hand, I can also allow you to speak if you would like. Actually, I'll just allow everyone to speak if you would like. But you're welcome to use it too.
I'd love to hop in too. I can't be so, gratitude is just a big thing that I have for the IPC program. From an academic side, you know, we talk about the emerging engineering program, and so many of the emerging engineers that started off were coming from industry. And I was really lucky to be coming from an academic side. And I think it's a great new push forward for IPC to be grabbing students. So if you're a student out there, this is kind of my take on the benefits of trying to just stick your neck out into a program like this. Aaron and Charlene are really pushing towards, and Teresa, of course, too, of the different student chapters, which, you know, I wish I had more time at school, because I would have loved to have more students to have the experience that I had with just being a part of maybe tours of your local facilities. There's so many industry or manufacturers that are participants in IPC, and you really get an opportunity just to walk in the door and go take a tour of some place that, if you drove by it, is just some massive building, but then you get inside of it, you're like, oh, they're making cool things. And that was my experience, is that it opened up a door to particularly for Lockheed Martin for me. That's one of the partners that we, along with many others as well, that we participated with in IPC 2581 standard, which is a really cool standard for digital age of, one file to get everybody on the same page and edits and everything like that. So it was very up to date. It wasn't like I was participating in some almanac that's going to be filed away every year. This is some really pressing things that the industry is trying to update itself with. And being just kind of interested in that, you really get a chance to not only benefit from participating, but seeing how the future is going to be for this industry. And electronics aren't going away. it's clear and everybody talks about that, and everybody's doing the right thing and being in this field. But what an experience to go see some of these tours of these facilities. I mean, Lockheed Martin's MH60 facility was so cool. You're getting to see helicopters and how they're built to the middle standards. And then when we go to just all over the place, it was a very great experience. And just a matter of sticking your neck out. It doesn't sound all sexy to be a part of standards, but it's a fun, worthwhile experience. So definitely keep up on it.
Thank you, Taylor.
Thanks.
I don't see any comments or hand raises at the moment. I'll give just a few more seconds if anybody's interested in asking any questions to really any of the panelists.
I think I gotta hop in again because
Dude, go for it.
Just enough. I wanted to show everybody too. So I work in a custom electronics place, and so we are really trying to make whatever our customers come to us at. And a lot of the people that I work with have been doing this for 40 years or plus, and all around the office they all have their IPC, certifications, and I'm relatively new here, so it's been approved from the powers that be that I'll be going through my certification, and I'm hopefully going to become a trainer as well. So that's something that people will look up to you, hopefully, and will look up to you and say like, oh, you know what you're talking about when it comes to electronics, and then you start you take things apart. This is an old iPhone. I still take things apart. And you look at how far we've come in technology and where it used to be in these, and you start taking a bigger glance at it, and you're like, well, man, any of these suppliers out in the world could just be, supplying the cheap things that will drop once they break. But really, when you get, a supplier, or when you're a supplier who follows these IPC standards, you're really setting a standard that says, you got a quality product here. We take it very seriously, and we understand, what the fill percentage of a solder barrel is supposed to be. And we're not going to skimp out on that because we are, certified. And, it's really interesting to take a look at how these standards affect our days and lives. You got your phones and you drop those, but if they're not made to these standards, then they're likely to break and things like that. So,
all right, I'm going to bring you back for some commercials. But in the meantime, I do have a question for you from one of our guests. Tayler, they asked where you went to school and where you live now. And another for Teresa after that, where some of the emerging engineers went to school and what they do now.
Great.
So Tayler, go ahead.
My background started off at Rochester Institute of Technology. I did my undergrad there in electromechanical engineering. And as I was finishing my degree, it just so happens that we had a facility that was basically a mini surface mount assembly line. And Dr. Martin Anselm and Dr. Ramkumar were such big influences that they teach classes in this industry to really help push this. And I was fortunate enough to get involved. And once you see the machines in a lab like that, and there's many labs all across the country that are doing this, and there's some great facilities out there. But you just see the application of, if I stick to this and I study this, I'm going to get a job. There's no doubt in my mind that the skills that I learn in class are going to translate to, I have a skill and I can meet the industry demand. And not only that, you just understand that, there's a lot more to it. And so RIT got involved with the opportunity to work on these standards, this IPC 2581 standard. And we got partnered up with a few industry partners. Keep your nose to the grind. Find yourself, I'm sure all the other emerging engineers can talk about, finding a partner in this that is not only a mentor, but, you know, if you're in academics, find a professor. Just be interested into knowing what maybe these professors are doing on the side. You know, we all know that they have to teach, you know, strength of materials, statics, and, you know, principles of electronics, but that's not the only reason why they're in academics. They're definitely doing some research, and if you just show them a little interest, they'll be like, oh, well, now I'm glad you asked. And next thing, finding out that they're working on the next X, the future of X. I got the chance to work at Nokia Bell Labs, and Bell Labs, legendary Bell Labs. It was just unbelievable experience, and it just stems from the opportunity to talk and be a little more open to learning from these mentors. And Arvind, I'm sure you can talk to the same. You know, materials science background is where I started off too, in solder joints, and you get a chance to work with scanning electron microscopes. This is so cool, and you really just dive in and you just start poking around, and just stay interesting. You know, be engaging. You may not be engaged in the beginning of the class, but maybe at the end of the class, don't be the first one that runs out the door. Maybe just stick around, just be like, ask a few questions, and it'll go a long way.
Right, so the question was, where did the other emerging engineers go to school?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so. Michael Teresa asked it. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is testing my brain cells here, everyone, because I don't have a cheat sheet in front of me. We have an emerging engineer from Virginia. We had someone from one of the larger universities in Texas, Purdue. We had someone from Colorado. We had, I think Kate went to school in Florida, and mostly larger, and Audrey is at Michigan, I believe. So, or a graduate of Michigan, I believe. Correct? And Charlene shaking her head, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Michigan Tech, maybe? Or was it Michigan?
Sorry?
Might have been Michigan Tech.
Michigan Tech, you are correct. Thank you, Aaron. And we have quite a number of process engineers or manufacturing engineers in the group. We also have one individual, one of our first emerging engineers, Amy Tayler, actually left the company that she was working for and went to a different division, and she's now a manager. And I know that Malia, Arvind's mentor, is now a manager at Honeywell. So they have, many of them have advanced their careers, and some of them have mentioned that the Emerging Engineer program has helped them to develop their people skills and move into more different roles as they grew in their careers.
And not to mention friendships that grow through this. Arvind, I know we just kind of met informally, but I bet you I have a few cross sections of microanalysis. We can spit back and forth, and and I get to learn a bit about your research, and we just start talking and things like that. And I certainly would love to follow up with you. Things like that. And Sarah Harris, you see people that are in the picture. And in the early pictures, Jimmy, one of the pioneers of the emerging engineering program, along with all the others. It's a community, and not only that, it's an opportunity to blossom. Like my company that I'm at now, they're not so far along in the process of being involved with IPC, but because of my experience, I'm like, hey, let's keep people going, let's get more people certified and things like that. And, you become, I guess, a component of the whole process. And not to mention the STEM too, if you have brothers and sisters, they get to build things. I still have my STEM sheets. Cool.
Oh, very nice.
You get to build all these things, and you get to meet, with high schools. You start putting on little events for even your high school, you can, it's amazing how just a little bit of here, show and tell, things like that. Next thing you know, you're inspiring some high schoolers to kind of go in this field. So definitely.
Taylor, you and I've talked about this too, and I'll share with the group as well, that I was a volunteer. I worked for the defense industry, and I was a volunteer at IPC and a trainer, and before I came on staff. And I learned a lot just sitting on committees and then chairing committees, and took that with me. And like I said before, I developed a lot of friendships that I've maintained over the years. So we didn't have an emerging engineer program at that point in time. So this is a way for everyone to have a structured environment to get to have those experiences.
Yeah, and I also just want to say one thing. If anyone wants to learn more about the emerging engineers, who they are and where they are based, what companies do they work for, their career aspirations, their journeys, the IPC Education Foundation actually reached out to a couple of them, and on the ipcef.org website, under the blog section, you can actually read a little bit more about their stories and their individual, advice they can share. So please feel free to visit the website and read the blog posts as well. It can be very insightful.
I think we saw a question that talked about how does this help maybe for your job prospects?
Yeah, please tackle it.
Yeah, I think there's a unbelievable correlation between the two. You can imagine if you come right from academics to a job interview and they start talking about, lead-free solders and, this is very particular to electronics, but, lead-free solder, melting points, and regular lead-based solders that are melting points. And then just from the pure knowledge of standards, you just go, oh, the melting point for lead-free solder is 217. And then the other, you can blow away an interview just by having some basic trivial knowledge of these standards. Just knowing that one of the, the world's best standards is IPC A610, and just just to know what to say that out loud is just like, whoa, look at that, a little bit about A610, huh? All right. And Arvind probably talked about, the solders, the different solders that go in, it's the little things like that. And then you can talk about just understanding who other people are in the industry. I mentioned who my mentors were, not only Renee, but like Dr. Martin Anselm and Dr. Ramkumar. But I got to learn with Dave Hillman and Doug Pauls. Like, those guys are rock stars in this industry. You just get to say hi to those guys and you read their papers. I think I mentioned that the fact that you really get the chance to see and be around people that are, they're publishing and they're out there. And if you're doing a thesis or doing any work, you're going to be like, oh, I see that name. I got to meet that guy, and things like that, which is really cool from, if they're geeking out, and things like that. So definitely a big job boost for sure.
All right, very good. Okay, well, seeing no more questions, no hand raised, I think we're going to wrap it up. So I'd just like to thank Teresa, Tayler, Arvind, Charlene, everybody for setting this up. Thank you to the attendees who stuck with it and participated. I will have this recorded. We have this recorded just like we do all of our webinars. So if you know anybody else who would like to learn more information or send people the link, I've sent the link to the application multiple times to student members. If you don't have it, you can ask me directly. But yeah, thanks to everybody that came in. We're looking forward to another strong group of emerging engineers, and especially excited to grow it by several students. So last year we had just one student member as an emerging engineer, and this year we intend to have 5. So we are happy to grow the program, especially from the student base. And again, share this information with your other chapter members or really, you don't have to be a student member to apply to be an emerging engineer, so other engineers as well. Any other parting comments from our panelists or guests?
I'd just like to thank everyone and look forward to meeting everyone at APEC.
Yeah. Thank you. And like Aaron said, just if you have an alma mater, a college that you went to, help try to start a student chapter, and you know, that helps too with everything. You know, that'll put you above your colleagues for sure if you're already in industry and you're looking back. I know a lot of people that are involved at IPC or SMTA, and they reach back and they say, yeah, I'm starting a student chapter and things like that. And people will get the idea, and you'll go far for sure. So definitely keep with it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Arvind, I look forward to catching up with you, and good luck with everything too. That's awesome what you're doing. And yeah, everybody else, I mean, thank you. And Teresa, good talking to you. Aaron, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
Tayler, thanks for